Reggae's roots are in Jamaica, but reggae has taken root in people and places to extend its reach across the globe. Canada is quickly becoming a country that houses one of the largest Jamaican expat communities, and if there's one thing Jamaicans do, is bring yard abroad. And the film Sounds and Pressure spotlights this truth immensely well. The Jamaican premiere of the docuseries was held on the grounds of the University of the West Indies Mona in February with cast and crew and specially invited guests in attendance. The film spotlights the journey of Jamaican artists who wielded and honed their craft in an environment that was once hostile to the genre due to stigmatization and unfamiliarity. This is PBCJ's coverage of the premiere and highlights of the film. I'm Raquel Robinson, and this is Agenda Jamaica.
Say you ready?
Jamaica.
Toronto. The history of reggae music.
Reggae's always had a home in Canada, at least for many, many years, since it crossed our borders in the 1960s. And today, with over 300,000 Jamaicans calling Canada home, the Jamaican diaspora has been pivotal in nurturing and evolving reggae influence, not just as a music, but as a cultural force resonating with themes of resilience, identity, and unity. It's hard to find a musician in Canada who hasn't been influenced by the reggae beat, or a club or a restaurant or another venue that hasn't showcased reggae. My own personal introduction to reggae was through Bob Marley's album Revolution, and I remember exactly where I was, who I was with, in a friend's basement in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, in the Lowland. I was 15 years old, and from that moment on I was captivated by the reggae rhythm, message, and spirit. At the High Commission, we proudly support cultural initiatives that celebrate this connection, from honouring Miss Lou, your beloved cultural icon, to championing Jamaican Canadian films, authors, and poets. Our commitment to seeing Jamaican culture continue to grow and thrive is an important part of our investment in Jamaica. Mr. Leroy Sills, thank you for being here tonight as our guest of honour. Your remarkable 60-year journey in reggae music has left us an indelible mark, and Canada has greatly benefited from your contributions. So thank you, sir.
You always hear some Bob Marley here and there from them long time. Slide in one Bob, one. And then no tourists start travel to Jamaica and them hear reggae. I put a 2 reggae and I said 3 reggae. Oh, I heard that in Jamaica. And them start and them friend and say, you should go to Jamaica, and them start tell them friend and half I said with reggae till we can go anywhere and play reggae.
I grew up in a household that had reggae music, and so I'm just naturally inclined to that music and that genre, and also a DJ and collector of the music. So yeah, it was, as a filmmaker, this has always been my passion, the music of our homeland.
A beautiful picture hanging on a wall. That's all I've left you. Don't know where he's gone.
Well, I would say Bob Marley is arguably the largest name and brought reggae internationally, but our story kind of ties in with that, because as that was happening internationally, some of the biggest artists out of Jamaica decided to call Toronto home. So Leroy Siblis, who's here with us this evening, of the Heptones, Johnny Osborne, Anna McLean, and our other artists helped build reggae in Toronto, and a really big scene and following there. So we just want to showcase what they created in Canada and building the foundation of reggae in the Jamaican diaspora in our country in Canada.
I come with the intention to spread reggae music in Canada. I used to take my record to every record shop I know. Some on the East End, Kensington Market. Right here was Ronnie Bop. Strictly record we sell in there, you know. Stranger Code, well, Stranger Code never let you down. You buy your stuff, you know what I mean?
I think it's important. The people-to-people ties between Jamaica and Canada are really important. And we've got a population of over 300,000 Jamaican Canadians in Canada. So I think one of the most important things to come out of this is the cultural links between Canada and Jamaica and the impact that Jamaican culture and heritage and music has had in Canada. And everybody knows reggae in Canada and loves it. So this really reflects those links between the two countries.
What's up, Nana? What's up, long time?
Long time. What's up? Hey, yeah. You too, man.
I'll try.
All right.
For me, it covers so much from, you have these jazz musicians who fell into making roots music, where the Rasta influence goes all the way through dancehall. I think it's the idea that reggae is just one sound is just completely false. It covers so much and it's had such an enormous impact on every genre of music, from electronic music, hip-hop, R&B, everything. So reggae is at the root of all contemporary music, I would say. So if you don't love reggae, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, and I'd say in Canada, some of our biggest artists now are hugely influenced by Jamaican and reggae culture. So again, the point of this film is to really showcase the foundation where that came from. This didn't come from nowhere. This was the migration of the Diaspora in Toronto, and you see it everywhere in Canada now. It's Jamaican culture is part of Canadian culture.
We were one of the first to kick it up here in Canada.
The music was new to Canada and Canadians.
Canada and Jamaica have been working together as partners for over 60 years. I'd like to see more business here. I'd like to see more Canadian brands coming into the Jamaican market. I would love to see a Canadian coffee house here. We have American coffee houses. I'd like to see a Canadian ones, particularly Tim Hortons. But I think I would like to see a sharing of the culture between Canada and Jamaica, so that we can work and play together, sporting events. I'd love to have a Canadian ice hockey team here, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. So, but I think there's a lot, and we learn from each other, and I think it's a really strong relationship, and the cultural side of it is really important.
This is a showcase of 5 films, 6 artists, but it's kind of the tip of the iceberg. There could easily be 10, 15, 20 films, so the talent is absolutely there and always has been.
This is my old record store right here, Top Ranking Record. This was a fun spot, like everything started here, right? Top Ranking Record. And people used to line up that way to come this way and come that way. Back in the days, fun, was nice.
Reggae music comes with the message, but some people hear it and they don't understand it.
I remember going to churches in Toronto, and you could hear the little bass line, and they would try to convince you that it wasn't reggae. Reggae, like so much of Jamaican culture, has a way of seeping into both expected and unexpected spaces, making sure that the roots remain strong, no matter how far home one may be. For generations, music has been a vital force in the Black diaspora experience, a bridge between homeland and new beginnings. From the dance halls of London to the underground reggae scenes of Toronto, the Little Bamboo Club, this music, like all cultural expression, Jamaican cultural expression, has served as an anchor for those navigating displacement, belonging, or simply for those asserting pride and love for culture. Tonight's film not only celebrates the artists who pioneered reggae abroad, but also invites us to reflect on reggae as a cultural foundation that has sustained Jamaican communities in foreign lands.
So No Pressure consists of 5 short films, and it's a fitting title, and I like the title specifically because the issue of sound is a concept I've heard overseas, where many persons who listen to reggae music, there's a distinct sound that grabs them. And it's a story I've heard the story in when we were in Birmingham. That the white person said that when they heard reggae for the very first time, something about it just grabbed them. I heard a similar story, British Jamaicans as well, and others, that the sound, so that kind of sound is, I think, very, very interesting, especially for this particular evening. And it reminds me of two particular songs, Bob Marley's song, that when the music hits you, you feel no pain. And anybody else remember Peter Tosh, Reggae myelitis? I feel sick. The feeling of sickness. It comes from my toe right up to my brain, to my blood. And it creates a distinct. And I think it's important because our immigrants, having been touched by this distinct sound, under pressure in a foreign land.
The essence of our music, especially in those days, the heavy bass. The drum and bass, boo, 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 boo. Couldn't play that panchum.
Regarding the motivation for this part of documentaries, and also why the title Sound and Pressure?
We settled on Sounds and Pressure because it kind of encapsulated both the joy and the struggle in the journeys of these artists. It shows all of those different facets.
I mean, for me personally, many people don't know at first, but my mom's Jamaican. She also migrated in the late 60s to Canada. None of the family, a lot of my family are here in the audience now, and so a lot didn't migrate. So my connection to Jamaica was just through her. And so reggae was in our household. I fell in love with it as a young kid. I knew it. In my teens, I became a DJ and a selector in Toronto, had a radio show that played that music. So I just wanted more and more. I fell in love with it. It was undeniable. And my mom even jokes, she's like, hey, you're more Jamaican than I am. But to keep us connected, she made sure we traveled here as much as we could as kids growing up. So it meant a lot to me to really tell that story of the Reggae Foundation in Canada, part of that same diaspora that took place. And as a first generation Jamaican Canadian, I've heard a similar sentiment from others that there's this missing gap in our history of what these legends laid down in Toronto. And being a big fan of reggae, I learned so much through this process, and it's just unbelievable that some of the biggest talent came to Toronto and had to leave, producing some of the best music. And the music's undeniable. Chris and I are both DJs, so we squeeze in as much music as we can each episode, wall to wall, and these are all their songs, a lot of it being recorded in Toronto at the time.
Yeah, for me, as an outsider to the culture, I'm from Australia originally. I started out as a DJ as well, playing soul and funk, and I was into reggae, but it was only really through coming to Toronto that I really got super deep into it and started to meet people in the community and start to hear some of their stories. So I was, as an outsider, to me, I was like, this is some of the best music that ever came out of Canada. Why don't more people know this? Why doesn't the white mainstream understand that this is some of the best music? And so I was just surprised that more of these stories weren't out there. And that was some of my personal motivation too.
When we got there, like you said, there wasn't much music, reggae music being played. Very few and seldom. So what I did personally, I picked a sound system to help to establish what was happening too. I even promoted some shows and all of that thing too. So I tried in every angle to get this music established. And I should even say we've been there for so long, doing this that manifested itself.
David Clayton Thomas from Blood, Sweat and Tears came and heard the band, Aishan people. He was working with GRT of Canada, and David Clayton Thomas got an album deal for the band. And they did the first album called Roots.
They see that Babylon came
We opened for Blood, Sweat and Tears in Ottawa Civic Centre. Pierre Trudeau and Margaret was in the audience, and the yellow Pierre and Margaret.
I'm just wondering why it is you think, anyone can answer, that reggae became more established in the UK, in London, Birmingham, where you have even reggae bands like, Aswan and so forth.
In the UK, in England, right, more people were more Jamaicans went there even more than when I was in Canada, in Toronto, the same, right, on the streets. Most of these Jamaicans are from St. Catherine, meaning the population were not half as large as in England. More people from Jamaica were in England, were migrating there, So everything started earlier. Because when we're walking, and whoever start walking first is going to be further down the road, If you understand what I'm saying.
Reggae took long to catch on in America, but longer to catch on in Canada. There was one radio station playing any reggae, Chin Radio, the Italian radio station on College and Shaw. They had one slot playing reggae on a Saturday morning, only half hour reggae in the whole place. That's all you could get.
And he always says, there is definitely some institutional racism in the music industry in Canada, but it's also, he says, it's just an underdeveloped music industry in Canada.
They figure reggae is for bad people. It's a bad man music. I think reggae is love, pure love.
One was a bit of a lack of archive initially. We were lucky to find some eventually. I mean, Jerry Brown had this documentary kind of commissioned about him, which was a huge wealth for the entire series, not just his. But yeah, the lack of sort of coverage in major publications back in the day, like things that you'd think would be covered, one. And another one, I think, was the slight difficulty of trying to make it accessible to maybe people that didn't know anything about reggae, and then not have it be, too thin or too flimsy for a Jamaican audience, for example. So, I mean, I know everyone here, like the dub plate thing was like a challenge that some people on the team was like, wait, what is a dub plate again? But probably everybody in this room got that when that came on. So that's kind of interesting.
The essence of our music, especially in those days, the heavy bass. The drum and bass, boo, 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 boo. Couldn't play that panchum.
One day I remember seeing Bob Marley and the Wailers for the first time, because Bob coming from Studio One at Brentford Road. And I was walking and listening to these guys and I said, wow, I was being strayed because of music. This guy, he was opening his welding establishment, and he got me in there as an apprentice. The best part of being there was when the blacksmith, he would put his iron on the anvil. I would be doing the sledging, right? I would slam, boom, and go, beeping, boom, beeping, boom, beeping, ping, boom. And it's a part of like Nyabingi music. So it'd be boom, beeping, ping, boom, beeping, beeping, boom. And not just be beating it, we'll be beating in rhythm. Boom, ping, 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 boom, beeping, one. So I knew the music was in me. Now, you see, music, if that's what you want to do, and you think you have it, do it. Whatever you feel is your thing. Go at it, and don't look back. I would say, because firstly you gotta believe in yourself, and if you said this is me and that's what you want to do it. Yeah, Don't let nobody tell you nothing. You know what I mean? Be a man, pursue, that's your happiness.
From ever since I was a kid, I always want to have a studio in my home where you can do what you want to do, express our feelings. Reggae music comes with the message, but some people hear it and they don't understand it.
This has been PBCJ's highlight of the premiere, Sounds and Pressure. I'm Raquel Robinson. Thank you for watching.
That's a wrap.